Have you ever been that person in someone's life? The one who always texts first, who always listens day or night, rain or shine. Maybe you found yourself showing up for people whether it's 2 in the afternoon or 2 in the morning. You're emotionally available, a bottomless well of attention, comfort, and giving. You always know everyone's birthday. You never forget a breakup. You pick up the phone on the first ring, cancel plans if someone needs you, stay up late to talk them through whatever's happening. Then their eyes, you might feel like the center of their universe. Someone dependable may be the only truly steady thing in their lives. And then, one day, it changes. And here's the weird thing. It's not dramatic. There's no big blow-up, no fight. It's slow, quiet, subtle. Suddenly, people don't ask how you are anymore. Your messages sit unread, your calls go unanswered, and you're left wondering what happened. It's not that they're mad. They're just indifferent. They move on, not out of anger, but apathy. And in that apathy, in that strange, surgical silence, it hits you. Your warmth didn't push them away. Your consistency didn't scare them off. It wasn't that you were too much, emotionally, or not enough. It was that you were always there, always available, in some invisible way that made you fade into the background. Like you became forgettable because you never disappeared. If that hits close to home, you are not alone. And the thing is, this isn't just about emotional rejection. Carl Jung, the iconic Swiss psychologist, believed that what you're experiencing is actually the collapse of something deeper, your psychic energy. It's a kind of slow death of individuality, an erosion of self, when every bit of your energy, all of your emotional fuel, is constantly flowing outward, when you never draw boundaries, never pause, never protect your inner landscape, you start to disappear. Not because you aren't enough, but because you're too much, too often, too isolated. To the human psyche, what is always there, always accessible, eventually stops being seen. Your presence is so constant, it becomes invisible. So in today's video, let's peel back the layers on one of Jung's most unsettling insights. Why being too emotionally available can actually destroy attraction, not just in romantic relationships, but friendships, work, everywhere. We're going to talk about why overgiving can drain your psychic identity, and why learning to pull back even when it feels weird or uncomfortable is actually a powerful form of self-respect. Here, we are, in a world that worships connection, always online, always reachable, one message away from anyone, anywhere, on the globe. But beneath this surface-level hyperconnection, there's a silent truth. The more emotionally available you are, the less people seem to value your presence. You've probably seen this play out. The friend who always says yes. The partner who always texts first. The coworker who never takes a break. These people don't get extra appreciation. More often, they're just taken for granted. Modern relationships, whether they're romantic, platonic, or professional, have started to feel like psychological paradoxes. We say we crave loyalty and consistency, presence and good vibes. But at a deeper level, something else is going on. We're wired to chase distance. We idolize mystery. Being too available can make us saw anyone seem less valuable. And that is the trap, the paradox. In a world that prizes scarcity, being endlessly available isn't just unrewarded. It can make you invisible. Maybe you give and give your time, your attention, your empathy thinking it's what will bring people closer. But instead, something strange happens. Instead of feeling appreciated, you somehow become invisible. So what's really going on here? Jung believed the answer lies in something more fundamental than personality, charm, or social skills. It's all about psychic energy, the deep inner force that runs our thoughts, feelings, and presence in the world. Let me break this down. Your psychic energy isn't electricity. It isn't adrenaline or motivation. It's the intimate, invisible fuel that powers your attention, your emotions, your imagination, your vitality. It's what makes you feel like yourself. It's why you might light up a room or, after a rough day, feel completely numb and invisible. There's a catch. Though your psychic energy isn't unlimited, it's honestly like money in a bank account, or battery life on your phone, or even the oxygen in a room. If you spend it recklessly, you run out. Completely. Here's how it happens in real life. Every time you say yes when you mean no. Every time you check your phone hoping for some reassurance or validation. Every time you overanalyze what someone said or didn't say. You're spending energy. Each tiny act drains you just a little. And if you never recharge, Eventually you find yourself emotionally bankrupt. Jung explained that our psychic energy flows in two directions: outward, into other people, the world, distractions, and inward, toward ourselves, our reflection, our growth. But think about our lives. Now almost everything is designed to keep us pouring out our energy. Notifications, social media, dopamine chasing, apps, all engineered to steal your attention. Add people-pleasing or the fear of rejection, and you're bleeding your energy out all day long. Even faking niceness when it's not authentic is a major energy leak. Think of it like this: your psychic energy is a sacred flame. If you feed it mindlessly, giving it away constantly, it burns out. If you protect it, it lights up everything you touch. That's why some people have this unexplainable aura. When they walk into a room, the atmosphere shifts. They haven't scattered their energy trying to get everyone to like them. They've channeled their vitality inward, and now it radiates effortlessly. But here's the tragedy: most people don't even realize where their energy is leaking. The super reliable friend becomes the group's emotional landfill. The lover who always answers every text instantly becomes background noise. The employee who never says no becomes overlooked, less respected. It's not that these people are seen as strong, they're seen as predictable. It's almost like their kindness or reliability becomes boring. Jung's point was crystal clear: when you just give and give, psychic energy doesn't inspire deep love or even gratitude. It invites apathy. If you lose control of where your energy flows, you start to lose control of who you become. So, how do you change this? Jung believed you have to protect that energy like it's your actual life force, because in a sense, it is the real secret to attraction, magnetism, and being valued. Starts and ends with how you manage your energy. Pause here and consider. In every relationship, every job, every interaction, where is your energy going? Who are you hoping to save or impress, maybe at the expense of yourself? When was the last time you saved that energy for you? Let's dive deeper into why this happens and what it means for your relationships and for your sense of self. Scarcity, attraction, and the paradox of attention. Modern neuroscience tells us that our brains are wired strangely. We don't get a rush from what's consistently available. Instead, anticipation is what triggers desire. It's not the kiss that spikes dopamines, the maybe. Will they text back? Will they show up this time? When someone is always available, always at our fingertips, our brains begin to tune them out. Think about it. That friend who never says no. Their kindness starts to feel expected, almost invisible. The partner who always texts first. Pretty soon, their messages blend into the background noise. The coworker who habitually picks up the slack. Eventually, everyone stops noticing their effort entirely. What's happening here is a psychological phenomenon called scarcity bias. We place more value on what's rare or hard to attain. This traces all the way back to our ancient wiring. In times when food, water, or safety were uncertain, our ancestors prized anything that was hard to get. In modern life, that instinct lingers, not just for physical goods, but for people and relationships too. The trap of endless availability. When you're always there, always willing, always accommodating, what you're really communicating, even if unconsciously, is, I have nothing else going on. I don't have other options. My world revolves around you. Even if that's not remotely true, perception is everything. The paradox: the more effort you show, the less it's valued. But when you pull back, when your time, your energy, your presence is a bit scarce, suddenly others notice. People lean in. Your absence becomes more magnetic than your constant presence ever was. This doesn't mean play games or be manipulative. The point isn't to manufacture distance. Instead, it's about noticing where your energy is leaking out, unearned. Start taking inventory. Are you always the one texting first? Do you jump at every request, even when you're exhausted? Are you saying yes when you really want to say no? If so, you're probably feeling spread thin, maybe even resentful, and unnoticed for all that you do. Kindness, boundaries, and the shadow. Let's go even deeper. Because Carl Jung didn't just stop at describing the problem, he pointed to its roots. Jung talked about a concept called the shadow. Those parts of ourselves we hide or deny because we think they're unacceptable. Maybe it's our anger, our real needs, our desire for rest or appreciation. If you grew up learning that being helpful kept you safe or lovable, you might not even notice you're leaking energy until you're bone dry. People-pleasing often masquerades as kindness. But when you say yes to everything, when you're available around the clock, it often isn't about generosity, it's about fear. Fear of being forgotten. Fear that if you speak up or set a boundary, people will leave. So you keep giving, keep smoothing things over, keep erasing yourself just to belong. Here's the twist. Real kindness is never about self. True kindness honors both others and yourself. If your giving comes at the cost of your own well-being or visibility, it isn't compassion, it's collapse. How the collapse feels: invisible, exhausted, alone, when your psychic energy is being poured out with no boundaries. The symptoms are subtle but devastating. You feel exhausted, not just physically, but deep in your spirit. Loneliness sets in. Even around people you care about, you start to overthink every interaction. Did I do enough? Did I mess up? What once felt meaningful now just feels draining. It can feel like you're doing everything right, but nothing seems to matter. That's because you're operating from a place of depletion rather than true authenticity. You're not being seen anymore, you're just serving a role. The psychology of magnetic presence. Think about the most magnetic people you know. They're not always the most generous, the most available, or the easiest to reach. Instead, they have boundaries. They say no. Their energy feels concentrated, not scattered, which makes their presence actually noticeable. Jung called this process individuation, integrating those hidden parts of yourself and becoming a whole person, not just a set of automatic responses. To start this journey, consider, where are you leaking your energy just to keep the peace? Which yeses feel heavy, and which boundaries have you been afraid to set? Are there small places you can begin to pull back, without guilt, so your yes actually means something? Absence is power. Here's the secret. Every time you reclaim a little of your energy by setting a boundary, by taking a pause, by being less instantly available, you become more visible. People notice your presence when it's not guaranteed. Your attention and emotional investment become more meaningful. Don't have to disappear completely, but you do need to let yourself be missed. A little mystery, a little scarcity. These aren't manipulations, but reminders that your energy is precious and worth protecting. Invitation for reflection. Take a look at your own relationships. Where could you pull back just a bit? Not punish, but to preserve yourself. Are you ready to let your presence grow in value simply by not giving all of yourself, all of the time? Let's bring all of this into sharper focus with a real-world example, because these concepts are powerful. But sometimes seeing them play out in someone's story makes all the difference. Picture Lena. She was the go-to person in every part of her life. If a friend needed a ride, she was already at the curb. If her boyfriend was having a rough day, she'd drop everything and show up, no questions asked. At work, her boss knew she'd take extra shifts or cover for others at a moment's notice. Lena wasn't just helpful, she was dependable to the point of being invisible. In the beginning, people praised her constantly. "You're so caring," they'd say. "I can always count on you. You're different from everyone else." Lena treasured these comments. They made her feel important, special, seen. But gradually those little accolades faded. Her texts would go unanswered. People started canceling plans without much explanation. Her name was missing from group chats. She wasn't being invited to gatherings. And slowly but surely, she slipped out of people's minds. Lena was confused. She hadn't changed anything about herself. She was still showing up, still giving, still sacrificing. But the responses just weren't the same. The silence she encountered wasn't dramatic, was cold, surgical, unspoken. One night, after waiting 2 hours at a cafe for a friend who never showed, Lena felt something inside her crack. Not with anger or tears, but with a numbness that spread like frost. She looked at herself in the mirror and quietly asked, "Why do I only exist when I'm useful to other people?" That question began to unravel everything Lena thought she knew about herself. She started reading, journaling, even went to therapy. That's when she stumbled upon Carl Jung's work Psychic Energy, the shadow, individuation. Suddenly, the exhaustion and invisibility she felt made sense. She realized she'd been bleeding her emotional energy dry for years, never refueling, never setting boundaries. The parts of herself she'd buried, her anger, her needs, her voice, were all pieces of her shadow, hidden away to keep people close. But by making herself endlessly available, she hadn't protected her relationships. Instead, she'd erased herself from them. It finally clicked for Lena. All her giving wasn't about kindness. It was about fear of being forgotten. So she tried to compensate by being ever present, ever helpful, almost trying to fill an emotional void with constant availability. But Jung offered her a new path, individuation, not about becoming someone better or different, but about becoming whole, about integrating the parts of yourself you've abandoned or hidden, just to fit in. So Lena started small. She didn't reply to every message immediately. She began to say no to things without offering long, apologetic explanations. She skipped a party one weekend just because she felt like resting. At first, it was terrifying. She worried people would notice or get upset. Some actually did pull away a bit, but then something odd happened. Other people began to move closer, not out of habit or convenience, but with real curiosity and interest. "Are you okay?" They'd ask her. "You seem different. You feel stronger." Lena wasn't being more social, but she was more rooted. She was listening to what she wanted and needed, not just what everyone else expected. Instead of trying to pour her energy into every conversation, she conserved it. She became less available, but much more magnetic. The very people who once overlooked her now started leaning in, not because she changed her style or personality, but because she was no longer offering herself for free. Lena realized that love without boundaries isn't love at all, it's just performance, and attention gained by erasing yourself isn't the kind worth keeping. The change wasn't about becoming distant or cold. Lena simply became selective. She still gave her time and care, but only from a full cup, with intention instead of obligation. Her presence, once predictable, was now powerful because it wasn't guaranteed. When she actually showed up, people felt it, respected it, and remembered her. She didn't disappear, she finally appeared as her true self. There's a strange paradox in our endless chase to be loved. The more present you are, the less visible you become. Society teaches us that always being there for others is the mark of a good person. But in reality, constant availability turns you into background noise. It's not your kindness that's being ignored. It's your energy that's being taken for granted. Carl Jung saw this before we even had modern words for it, like burnout or emotional labor. He believed everyone has a finite reservoir of psychic energy or emotional fuel, our attention, our vitality. And when you let it leak out endlessly, you don't just get tired, you get erased. So think about those awe-inspiring people you know, the ones who shift the atmosphere. When they walk into a room, they're not constantly available or eager to please. They have presence because they protect their energy through something rare, strategic absence. They aren't everywhere, so when they show up, they're truly noticed. According to Jung, this is what individuation is all about: becoming whole, living from self-knowledge and integrity, not just chasing acceptance or validation. Let's pause and reflect. Where are you leaking your energy right now? Who are you abandoning yourself to try to save or impress? Are you making yourself invisible by refusing to say no? Being seen isn't about doing more, being everywhere, or saying yes to everything. It's about letting your presence truly mean something because you've learned how to say no. It's about showing up with intention, not out of obligation. Protect your psychic energy, not out of selfishness, but out of profound self-respect. Because the people who will truly see you, they don't need you to disappear to feel loved. They'll recognize you, even when you finally decide to show up as your unapologetic, whole self. So let's talk about how you start reclaiming your presence, not just in theory, but in daily life. If you're like Lena, or like so many of us who've formed our identities around being the reliable one, there's always a moment when you realize something has to change. Maybe you're exhausted, maybe you're lonely in rooms full of people, maybe you just feel a kind of numbness, like you're fading into the wallpaper of your own life. Jung would say this moment, the ache of invisibility, the realization that you've become a ghost in your own story, means something inside you is ready to evolve. That's the invitation to individuation, and here's what that process can look like in the day-to-day. First, it's about noticing the pattern. Where are you saying yes reflexively, without checking in with yourself? How often do you agree to things simply to keep the peace, or because you feel guilty saying no, or even just unsure if you're allowed to say no? These are the places to start. Try this instead. The next time someone asks for your time, your energy, or your attention, pause. Just a moment of silence. Let the request hang for a beat. Use that time to actually ask yourself, do I want to do this? Do I have the energy right now? Is this something I feel a true yes about, or just something I feel obligated to agree to? This will feel awkward at first, maybe even selfish. If your whole self-worth has been built around meeting others' needs automatically, a pause can feel radical. But it's in that pause that you start reclaiming your psychic energy. In that pause, you re-establish the boundary between your needs and everyone else's. Now, does this mean you stop caring? Absolutely not. It means you care from a place of fullness, not from depletion. You start to give in ways that are sustainable, ways that nourish you instead of emptying you out. And the moments where you do say yes, they become powerful, intentional, heartfelt. People notice the difference. Your presence comes with weight, with meaning. Instead of being the default friend, partner, or colleague, you become the one whose presence makes an impact. But there's a price. Sometimes, when you begin to practice boundaries, people will get uncomfortable, especially those who've come to expect your endless availability. They might pull away at first, or try to guilt you back into your old habits. That's okay. This part isn't about losing people. It's about discovering who values the real you, your wholeness, not just your help. A big part of individuation, Jung teaches, is integrating your shadow, the parts of you that you've disowned because they seemed too much, too needy, too angry, too inconvenient. Maybe you were taught, directly or indirectly, to shove those parts down. Don't complain. Don't ask for things. Don't ever be a burden. So what happens? The shadow grows. You try so hard to be easy to love. You erase all the parts of you that give you depth, color, and authenticity. The work is to invite those rejected parts back in. That means allowing yourself to feel and express anger when you're wronged, to name your desires, even if they seem selfish at first, to set boundaries, even if people don't always applaud you for them. Imagine what happens when you begin to do this. Little by little, you don't become difficult. You become three-dimensional. People might not always understand, but they can't deny that you exist now on your own terms. You have shape, definitional presence that actually registers, emotionally and energetically. There's a saying yes all the time doesn't make you the nicest person, it makes you the busiest. What if you started saying yes less, but with more presence? What if your absence sometimes was just as meaningful as your presence used to be? Suddenly, people seek your input, wait for your response, feel your loss when you step away. Your value rises in their eyes, not because you're playing games, but because you're respecting both them and yourself. Think about it in simple social terms. The artist no one gets in their lifetime often becomes legendary when their work is scarce. The job everyone wants is the one that's hard to get, not the one that's easy. The friend who is sometimes busy, sometimes unavailable, suddenly feels like a privilege to spend time with. This shift isn't about manipulation. It's about truth. It's about rescuing yourself from becoming wallpaper in your own existence. Here's where the magic really happens. When you stop trying to be liked by everyone, you actually start being seen by the right ones. You form connections that are based on respect, appreciation, and authentic presence, instead of those based on convenience, guilt, or ingrained habits. The irony: protecting your psychic energy by saying no, by pausing, by practicing absence doesn't make you selfish or cold. It makes you real. And realness, in today's world of constant noise and passive yes-sayers, is deeply magnetic. Jung called this individuation, but you can call it wholeness. It's about showing up for yourself, just as powerfully as you've always shown up for everyone else. Let's put this to practice with a simple thought experiment. Imagine tomorrow. You decide that every yes will come from a place of genuine alignment, and every no will be a quiet act of self. How does your day look different? Which conversations lighten up? Which invitations do you politely pass up? Where does your energy start to collect and brighten, rather than drain away? You might find out, just as Lena did, that not only do you feel more yourself, but the world starts to see you clearly, sometimes for the first time. Let's bring this all home and make sure you walk away not only understanding Carl Jung's insight, but feeling empowered to use it. The power of being seen. At the heart of all this is a simple truth. Being present, truly seen and valued, requires more than just showing up for others. It starts with showing up for yourself. So, how do you live this out? 1. Reflect on your energy leaks. Ask yourself, where do I feel drained after giving? Who or what triggers my reflexive yes? Which relationships, habits, or environments make me feel most invisible? Begin noticing those patterns. Even one small shift can help re-anchor your energy. 2. Practice intentional boundaries. Boundaries are not walls. They are guidelines for how you want to be treated and how you protect your energy. Try these. Delay your response by 5 minutes. Give yourself space to answer authentically. Replace automatic yes responses with, "Let me get back to you." Schedule real downtime for yourself. No justification needed. Remember, these moments of pause allow others to appreciate your real presence instead of taking it for granted. 3. Integrate. Your shadow. Jung's path to individuation asks you to embrace your hidden parts, anger, needs, desires, quirks. Start by exploring, are there feelings I consistently avoid expressing? When did I last say what I truly wanted, not just what was convenient? Allowing your whole self, not just the nice or useful side, into the light, makes your presence genuine and powerful. 4. Witness the shift. As you apply these ideas, you'll likely notice subtle but powerful changes. Some people may distance themselves. That's okay. Clarifies who appreciates you for who you are. New connections become deeper. People start to lean in, notice, and genuinely value who you are, not just what you give. Your own sense of self grows less diluted, more focused, and vibrant. You might feel resistance at first, and that's normal. Wholeness can be uncomfortable. It challenges old patterns and expectations, both yours and others. Trust that with every act of self-respect, you're building a life where you don't need to disappear to feel loved. Your magnetic presence. You learn to value your own time, energy, and truth. You stop being background noise. You become a voice, a presence, a force. You'll notice your yes carries weight because it's real, not just a habit. People remember you, miss you, and respect you. Most importantly, you respect yourself. This is what Carl Jung meant by conserving psychic energy and living from a place of fullness, not emptiness. It's not about being perfect or always getting it right. It's about being real, whole, and fully here. A closing invitation. If anything in this video struck a chord with you, don't just let it fade into the noise of daily life. Take one small step. Comment below. Where have you felt invisible by being too available? Share your story. Your honesty might help someone else feel seen. And if you're on a journey to deeper self-understanding, to holding your energy with reverence and strength, hit subscribe. This community is for you, because here, we don't just talk psychology, we live it. Together, thank you for watching, and thank you for showing up for yourself.